election, as you know, is probably the worst election, considering in this particular republic, considering the 2022 electoral law, which was meant to improve our overall election process, and the continued and consistent promises of the chairman of INEC that this is going to be the best thing that has ever happened to Nigeria and everything.
You're welcome to the Nigerian Bossman, and it's a pleasure having you on my channel once again. Thank you for those of you who have been watching the content, and if this is your first time, I want to welcome you. I want to say that it's a pleasure having you here, and like you know, this channel is all about seeking for a better Nigeria in terms of leadership as well as the general citizenry, and also for a better Africa and the world in general. Today's episode is focused on my meditations on the just concluded presidential elections. Like you know, I was in Nigeria for the sole purpose of voting in the presidential elections, and many other Nigerians were also there from abroad, because since the political class, they have frustrated the bill that was the bill that was put before the House for diaspora to allow Nigerians abroad vote. Since they frustrated that, we have decided to pay that huge price to go to Nigeria and be part of the elections. But that aside, the presidential elections that had just passed, that has just gone, was something many Nigerians, both home and abroad, looked very much forward to, because we can say that the INEC under Atahiru Jega did a good job. They built a kind of a structure that was departed from what had been on before, and the promise was that the successor to Jega was going to do a better job, was going to basically improve on what Jega and the leadership of INEC as at that time had done. But when Mahmoud Yakubu came on board, there were a lot of technological innovations within INEC, and that basically raised the hope of Nigerians, both home and abroad, towards envisaging for a credible, fair, and transparent election. And even Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who is the head of INEC, in his speech at the Chatham House, for which, if you look at my videos, you will see where I spoke about his excellent presentation. In that speech, he talked about the fact that the election, the presidential elections, and the House of Assembly, the state elections, was going to be transparent, was going to be fair, and also the results were going to be transmitted right from the polling units to the servers of INEC for everyone to follow live. And also the results were going to be transmitted live from the polling units to the collation centers.
Governorship elections. In addition, the decision to make polling unit election results available for public viewing, which has always been a major demand by citizens and election observers, falls into this early choice of election technology. The INEC Results Viewing Portal, the IREV, is a dedicated web portal for the public view of polling unit results as soon as they are finalized on election day.
But for those of you who have followed the elections, you will know that this has not been the case. I would say that these presidential elections, these 2023 presidential elections, will go down in history as the worst conducted elections in Nigeria. Why is that so? Because the INEC basically played along. They worked in partnership with APC to truncate the mandate of Nigerians. They basically they worked together to frustrate Nigerians because in some places, I must say that the process was fair. Take, for example, in Ward 5 in Edo State, in Benin City, where I voted, that particular ward, the unit in that ward, the elections went smoothly and it went very well. So I'll commend the INEC officials in that particular ward. They did a wonderful job. They worked alongside Nigerians who were present right from when they opened till when they closed, when the results were counted. Nigerians, those in that ward were part of counting of the results, and there were recordings of the counting. I recorded the counting of the votes. But
33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46.
146, Labour Party Presidency, Unit 10.
In many other places, it was not like that. There was violence in many places. There was discrimination especially in the Yoruba area, where in Lagos, where many were disenfranchised because they did not have Yoruba-looking names. There was the case of underage voting in the north, where surprisingly, an official was saying that the young children who were voting were they had developmental issues. I would say that sometimes I wonder if the political class of Nigeria, if many of them, if their brains are really working right, because they tend to think that Nigerians do not have a sense of reasoning. And so that is why when they come up with all kinds of, I'll say, stupid declarations, I want to use that word categorically. They come up with statements that make a mockery of intelligence. Because it was visible for all to see. Anyone who has developmental issues, it will be visible in the structure of that person. But in this case, it was obvious. These were children. From their physical structure and from how they spoke, it was obvious. You did not need an expert in child development to say or to show or to prove that these children were, that these individuals who were involved in the voting process were children. But let's go back to the INEC issue. It was sad to see that even at the collation center, where INEC officials were colluding with APC, some of the APC leaders to change results. And some of the results that were collated, even at the unit level, were thrown away. We saw some cases like that in Delta, I think, and Rivers. And violence was the case in Rivers and some other parts of Nigeria. So for Mahmoud Yakubu, the worst thing was that his promise of transmitting results from the polling unit to the INEC server was never realized until three or 4 days later when after Nigerians have cried out. And it was even after he had announced Bola Tinubu as the so-called the president-elect of in the presidential elections, that decided to upload results. But I'm happy that Peter Obi has now gone to the courts along with I think Atiku. But Peter Obi has tried as much as possible to douse the tension in Nigeria among the Labour Party supporters. And he knows that if he had not done that, things would have gone really, really downhill. So I want to commend Peter Obi for taking that part of peace, because if he had not done that, there would have been serious degeneration of security in Nigeria, and many lives would have been lost. So I want to say that the INEC, because it's obvious right now, there's been report that the INEC has, as much as possible, tried to thwart the court order giving permission for the Labour Party and the PDP to examine the beavers machine and other sensitive electoral materials in relation to the last presidential elections. And I would want to speak specifically to Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. I want to say that you are a disgrace. Yes, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, you are a disgrace. For someone to hold a professorship, it speaks of the fact that you have come to a place of academic excellence. So your level of reasoning, your level of the choices that you will make is supposed to be something that is well above average. But in this case, you failed woefully. I do not know the kind of incentives you might have received from the APC, whether you did or you did not, but how you have gone about these elections, it is obvious for everyone to see that you and some corrupt members of the INEC have been very partisan. You deviated seriously from what you said you were going to do. But Nigerians are not giving up, because like you can see, the love for Obi, the appeal of Obi to the Nigerians is still speaking to date. And we are not giving up until we see the court case to a conclusive end. Obi right now is traversing Nigeria, campaigning for House of Assembly candidates and also governorship candidates. You can see the tremendous support that is still enjoying. It was a huge crowd in Delta. It was a huge crowd in Benin City when he was there a few days ago. The Bola Tinubu, who you have declared as the so-called president-elect of Nigeria, can Bola Tinubu step out to say he's going to visit these states today? I dare Bola Ahmed Tinubu to go out to these places, since he said he won the elections in these places. If he said he won the elections, I'm very sure the so-called electorate who voted for him will want to give him a warm welcome. So I throw a challenge to Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his so-called advisory council. Let him go on a so-called thank you visit to this so-called state he said he won elections in. That is my own challenge to him. As Obi right now is doing, campaigning for candidates for the House of Assembly across the various states, let Bola Ahmed Tinubu do that. They must understand the APC, and for President Buhari to come out and say that this is one of the freest elections, this is one of the most credible elections Nigeria has ever had, is such a shame. It is such a shame. Buhari came into office in 2015 with the massive support of Nigerians who were seeking for a change from the PDP, who damaged Nigeria. And because of that, Nigerians thought that the leadership of Buhari and Osibanjo will bring better things for the nation. But sadly, that has not been the case. This was not the freest and fairest or most transparent elections Nigeria has ever had, but rather it is the opposite. And so, for President Buhari, I would say it is sad. It is sad because you came on the toga of fighting corruption. You came with the toga of bringing a change to Nigeria, but you have brought misery. You and APC have brought misery. You and APC have brought shame and embarrassment to Nigeria in the international community. You and the APC have brought sorrow and sadness to Nigeria. You and the APC have brought pain to Nigerians like they have never ever experienced before. So you and your government, you will go down as one of the worst in our history. And for Nigerians, I want to say that you must not give up. You must not give up. This fight for a new Nigeria must continue. Like change, positive change, real change that will bring good does not come on a platter of gold. You have to fight for it. And so let the fight continue. And so my brothers and my sisters, I want to say that much as the last presidential elections was a sham, and as much as Mahmoud Yakubu and the APC want to make us believe that it was one of the best elections in the history of Nigeria, that is for them. We know that things did not go the way Nigerians expected. Even the international observers who came from abroad to be part of the elections, they have also testified to that. But I must say, let us allow the courts do their job before we know what we are going to do. May God bless you, and may God bless our country, Nigeria. See you in my next episode. Let me have your comments because I want this channel to be interactive, and let us speak to one another as we try to build a better nation. May God bless you.